Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
There were a lot of changes in the way Father Knows Best was on the radio and the way it was on television. You've probably seen the television show, but now you're going to hear the original radio show, this episode from January 4th, 1951, as Jim Anderson stands up. He's going to take on City Hall.
Mother, is Maxwell House really the only coffee in the world?
Well, your father says so, and your father knows best.
Yes, it's Father Knows Best, transcribed in Hollywood, starring Robert Young as Father. A half-hour visit with your neighbors, the Andersons. Brought to you by America's favorite coffee, Maxwell House. The coffee that's always good to the last drop. In Speaking of Children, the poet Charles M. Dickinson wrote, "They are idols of hearts and of households. They are angels of God in disguise. The sunlight still sleeps in their tresses. His glory still gleams in their eyes." Well, it seems like a pretty good bet that Mr. Dickinson never spent any appreciable time in Springfield, especially in a certain white frame house on Maple Street. If he did, it's a cinch that he never stayed for dinner, where the conversation generally goes something like this.
But, Dad, I won't get my allowance until Monday, and I've only got 20 cents.
That's very interesting. Kathy, stop playing with your mashed potatoes.
Yes, Daddy.
It isn't as if I needed a whole lot. Heck, what's 50 cents?
Well, lately I've heard it referred to as a 1950 nickel. That was a joke, Margaret. 50 cents, 1950 nickel. You see?
I heard you, Jim.
Oh, well, I just thought. Bud, will you please pass the bread?
Gosh, if you needed 50 cents and I had 50 cents, you know I'd be only too glad to lend it to you.
Well, that's very noble of you.
You mean I can have it?
No. That's wonderful gravy, Margaret.
Well, thank you, dear.
Would you mind passing it, Betty, please?
Here you are, Father.
Thank you.
Say, Mom.
Your mother's not going to lend you the 50 cents either, Bud, so stop bothering her.
I wasn't bothering her, Dad. I just thought...
Jim, if Bud really needs the money...
This is Thursday, Margaret. He got his allowance only 3 days ago.
Well, how did I know she was going to be a pig?
Who?
Marion Swift. Believe me, it'll be a long time before I invite her in for another malt. All I said was, would you like a malt? And you know what she ordered? A triple-decker sandwich and a hot fudge sundae. With nuts.
That is one of the unfortunate things about life, Bud. All women are born hungry.
Why, Jim.
Especially beautiful women.
I hope she gets a stomachache.
Bud.
That'll teach her.
Kathy, if you're quite finished with that construction job, may I suggest that you put your potatoes to the use for which they were intended?
Huh?
Eat your dinner.
Oh.
Oh, what?
Okay.
Go ahead, dear.
Say, Betty.
Don't ask me for any money. I'm broke. She wouldn't even give any to Billy Smith. Kathy.
Wait a minute. You mean Billy Smith asked you for money?
Well, he said he needed 80 cents in a hurry.
Margaret, what's gotten into these kids anyway? Imagine a boy asking a girl for money.
Well, they've been friends for such a long time.
It's outrageous, that's what it is. Just plain outrageous.
I think it is, too. Creepers, it's only been 3 days since I borrowed it from him.
What were you saying, Jim?
I was just, how are you getting along in school these days, Kathy?
Oh, pretty good.
How about 30 cents? That isn't much.
Bud, please, I was talking to your sister. What were you saying about school, Kathy?
I wasn't saying anything.
Well, say something.
About what?
About anything.
Okay. I didn't win the spelling contest today.
Well, that's nice. Was there anything else you didn't win?
Well, how did I know there wasn't any K in civics? I don't even know what civics are.
You don't know what civics is.
That's what I said.
You said you don't know what civics are.
Well, I don't.
Kathy, the point Betty is trying to make is that civics is in the singular, not the plural.
They are?
Not they are, they is. I mean, it is.
What is?
Civics is. Kathy, civics is a noun. And there's just one civics, like Yonkers. There's only one Yonkers.
What are they?
Yonkers is a town. It's a place where people live.
Why?
Because they... Kathleen, eat your dinner.
But you didn't tell me
I said eat your dinner.
Jim, I think you're being very unreasonable. Why don't you tell Kathy what she wants to know?
I did tell her. I told her civics was a singular noun. What more is there to tell?
You can tell her what civics are. Or is.
Well, all right. Kathy, civics is, it's the,
Dad.
It's from the Latin, what do you call it, which means citizen. And, you see, Kathy, the government is divided up into certain groups and, certain other groups.
Dad.
Now, the government has a certain responsibility to the people. And the people have a certain responsibility to the government, which is the way it should be, isn't it?
Dad.
Bud, will you please keep still? I'm trying to explain civics to Kathy.
Civics is that department of political science dealing with the rights of citizenship and the duties of citizens.
Which is exactly what I just finished saying. Isn't it, Betty?
Word for word.
Well, it meant the same thing. Maybe I don't remember the formal definition, but I certainly know the practical application of the word, and that's what Kathy's really interested in, isn't it, Kathy?
It is?
Take Springfield, for example. We know that we have a mayor, a city assembly, and the usual city employees. Now, each of these is a public servant, and his principal duty is to protect the rights and privileges of the people. That's clear, isn't it?
Jim, I'm sure that Kathy doesn't care
Just a
about...
minute, Margaret. This is very interesting. What was that, Betty?
I was just clearing my throat, Father, so I can listen better.
It's high time this family took a little interest in something other than boyfriends and the price of hot fudge sundaes.
But I didn't ask you that.
Never mind, Bud. I'm explaining about civics, and it's very interesting. Isn't it, Kathy?
Oh, sure.
It's up to the citizens of every community to see that their rights are protected. That's why we have elections, to keep the public servants on their toes. Now, take the mayor, for example. If we think the mayor is doing a bad job, we don't vote for him again. We throw him out, put somebody else in.
Betty, we'd better start clearing the table.
Okay.
Any time a public servant thinks he's bigger than the people, well, that's the time to watch out. Now, take this new highway. What right do they have to tear down the old meeting hall for a new highway? That's what I want to know.
Don't take the cake, Mom.
All right, dear.
I don't mind progress. But there's such a thing as sentiment, too. That building is a monument, and it holds precious memories for everyone in Springfield. But do they care? No. They're going to tear it down, build a road. And they didn't even have the decency to ask the people if that's what they wanted. Margaret.
Go ahead, dear. We're listening.
We've taken just about all we're going to take from that bunch of incompetents in the city hall. After the next election, they'll be out selling pencils on the street corners. And if they think... Kathy, will you please stop fidgeting?
But I don't understand something.
Well, I've made it perfectly clear.
I know, but what are Yonkers?
For crying out loud, Kathy, you can trust me, can't you?
You said you'd give it back to me on Monday, and this is Monday.
But you don't need the quarter.
I do, too.
Look, Kathy, why don't you just let me pay you the interest?
I want my quarter.
And next Monday, I'll give you the quarter and another nickel for interest.
I want my quarter.
Of all the stubborn...
It's Daddy. Now we'll see about...
Wait a minute.
Daddy!
Hello, sweetheart.
Here's your quarter.
How about the interest?
And another nickel, miser.
Thank you, Bud.
Well, what's going on in here?
Oh, not a thing, Dad.
If he's trying to borrow money, look out for him, Kathy. He's a slick one.
Oh, sure. You have to worry about her.
Jim,
I'll be right in, honey.
there's a letter for you next to the phone.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Well, now, what do you suppose the mayor wants?
Maybe he wants you to help him with something.
Received your... Impertinence. What in the name of... Margaret!
Anything wrong, Dad?
I've never heard of anything... Margaret!
I'm coming, Jim.
Margaret, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Just a moment, dear. Betty,
Yes, Mother?
be sure the peas don't boil over.
Okay.
How can you worry about peas at a time like this? I've been ordered to appear in the mayor's office tomorrow afternoon.
You've been ordered?
Yes, ordered. To explain the impertinence in my letter.
What letter?
I don't know. I didn't write any letter.
Daddy,
What is it, Kathy?
maybe he means my letter.
You mean you wrote a letter to the mayor?
Well, you said he had no right to tear down the meeting hall without asking you.
Oh, dear. Bud, tell Betty to turn the light off under the peas. We'll probably be quite a while.
Okay, Mom.
Kathy, why do you do things like that?
Well, I just said what you said.
I don't care what you said or I said. Little girls don't write letters to the mayor. It isn't done.
Why?
Because he's a busy man. He's got too many other things on his mind.
But you said he shouldn't build the road.
I know what I said, and I still say...
Jim, I'm sure you can straighten the whole thing out. Can't you?
I don't know. Why does he address it to me in the first place? I didn't write the letter.
Daddy.
If he wants me to speak to Kathy, I'll be glad to. The way he talks, you think I wrote it.
Daddy.
Yes, Kathleen.
Do mayors pay any attention to little girls?
Of course not. They don't even have time to pay attention to big girls.
That's what I thought.
What do you mean, that's what you thought?
Well, after I wrote the letter, I figured maybe if he found out I was only 9 years old, he wouldn't pay any attention to it.
So?
So, I signed your name.
Oh, no.
January 4th, 1951, Father Knows Best on Classic Radio Theater. Thanks for tuning into Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station. While Father Knows Best ran 5 years on radio, it only ran 6 years on television. And that might seem impossible to believe considering that reruns ran, well, they're continuing today on Antenna TV. So they're still out there, even though the show only did a total of 203 television episodes. Now more of Father Knows Best starring Robert Young from January 4th, 1951.
An ancient Greek named Euripides is supposed to have said, "The gods visit the sins of the father upon the children." If that's what he said, Mr. Euripides had rocks in his head. Or else he'd never run across a family named Anderson. With them, the shoe is generally on the other foot. And now, as they wait in the corridor outside the mayor's office, the shoe is definitely beginning to pinch. Like this.
Jim, the entire idea is completely ridiculous.
It is no such thing.
Making us drop everything we were doing just to come down here and sit.
Margaret, if he sees me in the bosom of my family...
Yes?
Well, maybe you'd rather visit me in the local jail.
Jim.
And bring me chocolate-covered hacksaws.
Jim Anderson, no one said you were going to be sent to jail.
How do you know? How can anybody know until we find out what that genius put in the letter?
All you have to do is explain to the mayor.
Kathy!
Did you call me, Daddy?
Oh, what are you doing?
I was reading a comic book. Why?
No, I was just, never mind.
Say, did you hear that, Dad? They're blasting for the new road. Boy, that was a pip, wasn't it?
Yes, it was fine. Where's Betty?
She's around someplace. Betty!
Bud!
Well, I just thought...
Bud. I brought you all along to prove that I'm a man of character and substance. But if you're going to stand outside the mayor's office and scream at the top of your lungs...
Did somebody call me?
Dad wants you.
Bud, please.
Margaret, I think they allow visitors in the jail on Wednesday.
Are we going in, Father?
No, we're not going in. I'm beginning to think your mother was right in the first place. I'll stand a much better chance if I go in alone.
What did we do?
Nothing. Nobody in this family ever does anything. You can get into more trouble than any 10 kids in Springfield, but it's a very strange thing. Nobody ever does anything.
I went down to the end of the hall to get a drink. What's wrong with that?
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. I merely said...
I'm thirsty.
You stay right where you are.
But Betty got a drink and you didn't tell her.
Kathy.
She couldn't.
Margaret, in one more
I'll
minute...
speak to them, dear. Kathy? Betty? Bud? Bud?
Bud, come back here.
I just want to look out the window.
I said come back here.
Holy cow. All we do is sit around this old hall. How long do we have to stay here, anyway?
I haven't the faintest idea. Now, look, you may all think that this is very funny, but it isn't. I'm in a very serious predicament.
Why, Jim, as soon as you tell him that Kathy wrote the letter...
He's going to ask where she picked up the ideas. Don't you understand, honey? The mayor isn't a stupid man. He knows that children don't have political opinions. They're like parrots. They repeat whatever they hear.
Well, why don't you tell him I heard it on the radio?
You heard what on the radio?
That he's a crook.
Kathy, you didn't tell the mayor.
Oh, but Daddy said...
I never said he was a crook.
You didn't?
No. I may have said a lot of things, but I never said that he was a crook.
Well, I did.
Margaret.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes?
The mayor will see you now.
Thank you very much.
Jim, dear, everything's going to be all right.
The condemned man ate a hearty breakfast. Well, let's go.
Father.
Please, Betty, let's not say a word.
Not even if he asks us something?
Nobody's going to ask you anything. Just try to look human.
This way, please.
Are you sure you didn't say he was a crook?
Kathy.
Well, somebody did. I think.
That's the trouble with this family. Too many people try to think.
Your Honor?
Yes?
James Anderson and family.
Oh, come in. Come right in.
Your Honor.
Well, this is a very pleasant surprise. I hadn't anticipated 5 Andersons.
You see, Your Honor...
That will be all, Bill. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, now shall we all sit down and be comfortable?
Oh, well, thank you, Your Honor. You're very kind. All right, children.
Your Honor.
Your Honor, my father's a wonderful man.
Bud.
And every time he's been arrested, it hasn't been his fault.
Your Honor, I've never been arrested in my entire life.
Why, Father, don't you remember the time you thought the car was stolen and the police...
Betty.
Well, they said you were driving a stolen car.
It was my own car. It was a mistake.
Well, that's what Bud said.
Betty, please.
I'm just trying to help.
Your Honor.
Mr. Anderson, I received an amazing letter a few days ago.
I know, Your Honor, and I'd like to explain.
I heard you speak some time ago at a service club luncheon, didn't I?
Yes, I'm the president, Your Honor. But I'd like to...
At that time, you struck me as being a fairly intelligent man.
Thank you. You see, Your Honor...
Not at all the sort of man who'd spell grafter with 2 T's.
Grafter.
Doesn't it have 2 T's?
No, dear. Just one.
Oh.
Your Honor, if you'll only let me explain...
There'll be lots of time for explanation. First, permit me to say that this was a very remarkable letter.
But
It contains some very pertinent information and a very valuable suggestion.
Your Honor, what I'm trying to say is... It did.
Oh, yes. I've already had several talks with the city council, and we are all agreed that your ideas are not only logical, but extremely helpful.
Well, I wouldn't go quite that far, Your Honor.
Aren't you going to tell him
Kathleen, be quiet.
But Daddy said...
Kathy.
Gee whiz.
Now, for example, let's take the first point in your letter.
The, first point?
Yes. Now, there is a very wise suggestion.
Your Honor, about the letter...
Daddy, he means the part about changing the meeting hall into a museum.
Oh, that part. Well, it was merely...
Outside of the miserable spelling, the atrocious punctuation, and the weirdest grammar I have ever encountered. The point was very well made.
Your Honor, what my husband has been trying to say...
Of course, the letter was obviously written by a child.
How does he know that?
And I'm quite sure I know which child.
Well...
You see, dear, there was no need to be upset.
And the conclusion of Father Knows Best from January 4th, 1951, along with the Yours Truly Johnny Dollar episode, comes up next, right here on Classic Radio Theater. Mike Lindell, the inveterate CEO of MyPillow, wants to give back to listeners. You can get great discounts on all MyPillow products if you go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special. Deep discounts on all MyPillow products, like the buy one, get one free special on Giza Dream Sheets. All MyPillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty. Call 1-800-951-8175 or go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special. Use my promo code USA.
You know, if you feel like you're stuck with a health care plan you don't like, right now is a great time to switch to MediShare. They'll waive your new member fee if you join by January 15th. So that's $170 in addition to all the other savings. The typical family saves $500 or more per month. And MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate when compared to health insurance. Double. Again, join by January 15th and save even more. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater, the conclusion of Father Knows Best, January 4th, 1951.
The suggestions about the museum and the park to contain it are reflections of definitely adult thinking.
Well, it was just...
And so was the impertinence.
But, Your Honor...
If you think I'm a crook, say so. Don't hide behind your children's skirts.
I never said you were a crook. Never. I merely said that you were incompetent. Well, what I meant...
Oh, you did you?
Well, Your Honor...
That's what it was. He said you were incompetent, and you ought to be out selling pencils.
Kathy!
Well, I knew it was something like that.
Now, see here, Anderson.
Your Honor...
Tell him what you're going to do to him next year, Daddy.
Kathy, will you please...
He's only a servant anyway, and if he doesn't stand on his toes, we're going to fire him.
Kathy, be quiet.
But you said he was a servant.
Kathy!
And you were going to throw him out and put somebody else in. And then you said...
Want me to sit on her, Mom?
Anytime the mayor thinks he's bigger than the people...
Let's both sit on her.
It's time somebody did something. And if he thinks he can get away with it...
Ow!
Bud!
She bit me.
Well, he had no right to put his hand over...
Your Honor, I'm very sorry about this whole thing, but you see, we were talking at dinner the other night.
I love my daddy.
Kathleen!
And nobody's going to put him in jail.
Kathy!
Even if it doesn't have a K.
What doesn't have a K?
Yonkers.
I'm beginning to be slightly confused.
Well, with my family, that's an occupational hazard. We've confused more people to the square inch than any 10 families in town. But I'd still like to explain.
There's only one thing I want you to explain. Why didn't you write this letter?
What?
You obviously had a great deal to say. Why didn't you say it to me?
Well, Your Honor, I wouldn't presume
Presume my foot.
Your Honor.
That's what I said, my foot. People vote for you, expect you to do a job for them, and then what do? Nothing.
But we didn't think it was our place to...
Well, whose place did you think it was? How can we do anything for you if you don't tell us what you want done?
Well, you were elected on a certain platform.
And I've held to it. You wanted a progressive administration, and you've had it.
Yeah, we didn't want you to tear Springfield apart.
Then say so. Don't tell your children. Tell us.
Go ahead and tell him, Pop.
Well, go ahead.
All right. What do you want to know?
Why don't you like the new road?
I do. It's just that, well, when I was a boy, I played on the steps of the old meeting hall. So did my father when he was a boy. You're tearing down more than just a building. You're destroying a whole page of Springfield's memory.
And you suggest that we turn it into a museum instead. Is that it?
Well, Thought you could move it a few blocks. There's a lot of vacant land east of the old meeting hall, and build a small park around it, something like that.
Do you have any idea of the cost?
No, but the people...
Do you think the people would stand still for a bond issue to finance it?
I think so. After all, if it's part of Springfield tradition...
All right, then we'll do something about it. Excuse me. Bill.
Yes, sir?
Call the papers. I want a special press conference in my office at 5 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Tell them it's about starting a campaign to save the old meeting hall for some of our sentimental citizens.
Yes, sir.
Now, is there anything else?
Well, our school gets out awful late.
Kathy.
Your Honor...
Do you still think I'm a crook and a grafter?
I never said that, Your Honor. I merely said that you were...
Incompetent.
Kathy, when we get home, remind me...
Anderson, we're here to do a job as best we know how. And it's up to you to see that we do it.
Or you'll be out selling pencils.
Kathleen, please.
Well, Daddy said...
Your Honor, all I ever said...
You said you'd vote me out of office, didn't you?
Well, yes, but...
Why don't you give me a chance? If you don't like what I'm doing, tell me. Don't let me find out about it at the polls. Then it's too late.
Your Honor, I merely said...
We want to do our job for you in the best possible manner. But we aren't mind readers. You've got to tell us when we're off on the wrong foot.
Well, if you'll just...
There's only one thing wrong with you, Anderson, and it's the same thing that's wrong with most of the people in this country. What you need is a good lesson in civics.
Time goes by as time has a habit of doing. And once again, it's the dinner hour in the white frame house on Maple Street. Considering that it's the Andersons, things are pretty calm. Well, for the moment at any rate. Like this.
Let me see. Bread, butter, cream. Betty!
Yes, Mother?
You'd better bring in some more spoons, dear.
Okay.
Dinner about ready, honey?
Just about.
Come on, Bud. Let's go upstairs and wash.
You bet. Say, Dad, you don't suppose they'll put our pictures in the paper, do you?
Why should they?
Well, I mean, after all the mayor said about the park...
Bud, I'm perfectly happy just staying out of jail.
Hi, everybody.
Kathy, where on earth have you been?
I was out. Why, is dinner ready?
Young lady, when you know it's dinner time, why don't you stay where we can find you?
But I had to go down to the corner.
What for?
I had to mail a letter to the president.
Oh, no.
True story. I went through a whole bunch of those shows and was listening to them in the car and just laughed and laughed and laughed. January 4th, 1951, Father Knows Best on Classic Radio Theater. Another show I listen to all the time in the car, but don't laugh, is yours truly, Johnny Dollar. And that's next on Classic Radio Theater.
What does it mean to be an American? Just what are our American values? Working hard to succeed, loving God, country, and family, being honest, strong, and compassionate.
Supporting our Constitution and recognizing that we are blessed to be living in America, the greatest country in the world.
Our Bill of Rights protects us, our freedoms of worship, speech, and privacy, our right to own firearms, our right to trial by jury,
our right to be free, to live our own lives without some bureaucrat telling us what to do. Most countries don't have these rights.
Want to know more? It's all there in the book. Get your own free book, The U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Then read it again, and this time share it with your friends. Our great Constitution is the basis of all of our freedoms, our inalienable rights. Get your own copy at freeusbook.com.
Brought to you by the American Media Council.
Now part 3 of the 5-part Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story, The Caylin Matter. This was originally broadcast January 4th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
This is Reynosa, L.A. Police.
Oh, hiya, Sergeant. Any luck?
Nothing. This Topo Leanley boy's been in jams before. He's a tough cookie, and we don't scare him a bit.
What's his story?
Says he was walking through the courtyard of the apartment house when you jumped him from the bushes.
Oh.
Claims he thought it was a stick-up and fired that shot at you in self-defense.
What was he doing there in the first place?
Calling on a girlfriend, only she'd given him the wrong address.
Sure.
Well, we can hold him overnight for carrying a concealed weapon, but that's about all, Johnny. He'll make bail in the morning.
Well, fine, let him. Things aren't adding up, and it's got him worried. He's afraid he's being double-crossed, and he's fighting mad about it. On the loose, maybe he'll be a help to us.
How?
Maybe he can find Eddie Caylin.
What are you talking about? Eddie Caylin's downtown in the morgue on a marble slab.
Sergeant, want to bet?
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location Los Angeles, to the Home Office, Trinity Mutual Insurance Company Limited, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, the Caylin matter. Expense account continued. I was following a hunch, one that had started when Sergeant Reynosa said the police found the door of the Caylin apartment locked on the night of Eddie's death, locked with a key. And now the hunch was stronger. The way Leanley had acted, Topo Leanley, the gambler from whom Eddie had won $60,000 that night. Things like Lila Caylin had said about her husband, they all added up. But it was still only a hunch, not proof. And proof I had to have. And at the moment, the only chance I could see of getting it was to backtrack on Eddie Caylin. His hangouts, his contacts, his missing friend, Pete Steimer, his movements during the hours before his car was found blazing at the bottom of a canyon in Palos Verdes. In a way, what I had to do was bring him back to life. Expense account item 6, $14.10. Transportation 2 and incidentals at a dim little hole-in-the-wall bar out on Santa Monica Boulevard called the Cafe Eloines. It was an out-of-the-way clip joint dedicated to the mood Caribbean, complete with palm fronds, drinks, and coconut shells, and a lovely little hostess with a beautifully developed and well-rounded Latin accent.
You would like a nice table, amigo?
Oh, this one's fine. But I would like a nice talk. Sit down, honey. Let's get acquainted.
Well, maybe for a few minutes. My name is Pepita.
Of course. What else? I'm Johnny Dollar.
That's a funny name.
Oh, I'm a funny guy.
Will you buy me a drink?
Is that the gimmick here?
Gimmick?
Well, what do you order? A champagne cocktail?
Well, si.
For which I pay $2. It's made with 10 cents worth of sauterne. You get a $1 kickback. Isn't that the way it's played?
Are you with the Vice Squad?
No, forget it. Relax. Hey, look. I'll do better than buy you a drink. What are you doing after you're through here?
No dates. When I quit work here, I go straight home, amigo. And I live with my mother.
Oh, well, that's a very good arrangement. Cheaper that way for both of you. But here's $10. What I want from you is some information about a customer who comes in here a lot, or used to anyway. Eddie Caylin. You know him?
You are not the police, or you would not give me $10 just for talking. Sure, I know Eddie. What you want to know about him?
When did you see him last?
On Thursday, the day before he was killed.
How did he act? What did he say? Anything out of the ordinary?
He said he loved me madly, passionately, devotionally. And if I do not love him too, he will kill himself. Just like ordinary. He was lying, of course. But he always was such exciting to listen. Then he buy me champagne cocktail and borrow from me the money to pay for it.
Quite a boy.
Que hombre. He was, how you say, he was the most.
Yeah. How long was he in here that night?
Quien sabe? 1 hour, perhaps?
By himself?
No. With his amigo, with Pete.
Pete Steimer, huh?
Si.
Have you seen Pete since then?
No. I do not think nobody has seen him.
What do you think's happened to him?
Who knows? Maybe he is too sad for Eddie dying. So he is hide out someplace all by himself.
Well, it's a theory. Did Eddie seem worried that night?
No.
Scared?
No, not scared.
Nothing special on his mind, apparently.
No, just like always. Just like Eddie. You know.
No, I never met him.
Oh? Then why you ask this question?
Oh, just a routine business matter. What about women?
Women?
Yeah, other girlfriends of Eddie's. Next to you, of course.
Oh, next to me. With Eddie, every girl was first.
Well, what about the nightclub here? Any of them come in here, work here?
Oh, Eddie was too smart for that. In each one place, only one girl. That way, no trouble. Eddie was smart.
Yeah. He was the most.
See.
What about girls in other places around town? Do you know any of them?
No, I do not know any, but...
But you've heard rumors.
Well, there is a place which is called the Brass Monkey.
Ah, yeah.
They have girls there which, how you say it, they take off some clothes and go jump around to the music.
Strippers?
Well, strippers. Well, somebody is always make jokes with me about one of those strippers. They say Eddie is half the big thing with her. They think to make me mad, but there's no difference to me. I know how Eddie is.
Do you know the girl's name?
The very silly name, which she has make up, is Marty Midnight.
Marty Midnight.
She has black hair like me, but mine is natural black.
Oh, yeah, sure. I figured as much. It's very beautiful.
Muchas gracias, Johnny.
Well, thanks for some pleasant conversation.
You are leaving now?
Yeah, why?
But maybe you will come back. No?
I wasn't planning to.
At 1 o'clock, I am through working. If you will come back... No?
No. We wouldn't want to worry your poor old mother, would we? Keep her waiting up.
What are you talking about? My mother is living in Havana, Cuba.
Expense account item 7, $23.40. More transportation and some more of those incidentals. This time at the Brass Monkey Inn. That name had come up twice now. Eddie Caylin's widow had mentioned it first. So I figured I'd better have a look at it. The Eloines had been a fairly quiet place, dimly lighted, with a big play on that mystery of the jungle routine. But the Brass Monkey was a pony of a different tint. At the Brass Monkey, they let down their hair and really lived. The chorus line was on and at it when I arrived, and strangely enough, the girls were all dolls. Pert, young, lively. 7 of them, from left to right. But now one of the 7 had midnight black hair. I leaned against the service bar and waited for the bartender to come down out of the clouds and notice me. And he finally did.
Oh, sorry, Buster. Just couldn't see you for looking at you.
Oh, that's all right. Who'd bother with a customer at a time like this?
Another art lover. Man, I'll tell you true, there is the cream of the crop. 7 shining sisters. The Pleiades, brother. The absolute up-top zenith of the entire enthusiastic firmament. What do you have to drink?
Scotch. Over ice.
Checo. I read a lot. That's where I get all them big words. Always try to better myself. Get ahead, man. That's the thing.
Yes, so I've heard.
So I read all the time. And I got a system, too, a shortcut. You know all them books you see around? You know what they're full of?
Well, opinions vary.
Words. And you know where they get them? From the dictionary. So I don't mess around. I go right to headquarters. The only book I read is the dictionary.
You what?
Sure. Read it through twice. And now I'm clear up to J on the 3rd time around. You know what a joss house is?
Yeah, it's a Chinese temple. I think I need that drink now.
Oh, I'm sorry, Buster. Here you are. Say, you're pretty smart yourself.
Oh, I'm a pedant.
Pedant? That's with a P. Nah, I won't get to that for another 3 months. That's $1 even for the drink.
Here you go. Keep the change.
Well, thanks. Hey, this is a 20 you give me.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I see. Well, Buster, the answer is no. I can't fix you up with one of the girls.
All I want is some information.
Like what?
Like where is Marty Midnight this evening?
Oh, that I wouldn't know. She hasn't been around since, well, not for the last 4 or 5 nights.
Since Eddie Caylin was murdered? Is that what you're about to say?
Police?
Insurance investigator. The company I represent issued a policy on him.
Eddie Caylin with insurance?
Yeah, he took it out about 2 months ago.
Who's the beneficiary?
His wife.
Well, I never met the gal, but I guess she's got something common. She must have took quite a beating off of Eddie. Man, that cat could really operate.
So I gather. You happen to know where Marty lives?
Nah, she moved a few weeks ago, after she took up with Eddie. I don't even know her real name.
Hey, is the manager here?
I'm the manager, Buster. I hired him, fired him, and in between, just look at him. Oh, man, what a life.
Do you know a friend of Eddie's named Pete Steimer?
Sure I know. He hasn't been around either.
Disappeared that same night, huh?
Yeah, that was a bad night all around. There was another guy dropped out of sight, too. A hood named Mike Kelso, one of Topo Leanley's boys.
Do you know Topo?
He comes in all the time. He's, Hey, wait a minute. You must be the cat that broke his arm. Well, congratulations, felicitations, and happy days. I'll have a drink myself on that.
Real popular boy. Huh?
Oh, the most. I understand he got his start by leaning out of his baby carriage and shoving his mother under a car.
Was he in here that night?
Well, sure. That's where Eddie met him. I told Eddie to stay clear of that game. And was I right?
And you think that's why he was killed, for the $60,000 he won that night?
Buster, that's the type of question I never answer. And that's exactly why I stay so healthy.
Well, you don't have to answer. That's where all the logic points. Eddie met Topo Leanley in here that night and was invited into one of Leanley's big-time poker games. Eddie was lucky, plenty lucky, and Leanley got hit hard. He decided he wouldn't stand still for it, so he and his muscle man, Mike Kelso, went around to Eddie's apartment, beat him up, got the $60,000, took Eddie out to the Palos Verdes Hills, ran him off the cliff, and set fire to his car.
Any reason why it couldn't have happened like that?
No. But there are a lot of loose ends. Like what has happened to Pete Steimer and Marty Midnight?
Scared silly, hiding out.
Mike Kelso.
Same thing. He's sweating it out, waiting to see which way the wind blows. Or there's whispers around that he double-crossed Topo and ran out with the dough.
Could be. But I keep remembering that door.
What door?
To Eddie's apartment. It was left locked with a key.
So what's it got to do with everything? Uh-oh, the police. I'm raided again. Hey, Red, dump that water, bar, whiskey down a sink. Jackie, get back there and tell the girls to cover up. Now, take it easy, you cats. Just keep your seats. Everything is copacetic.
Relax. It's not a raid. That's Sergeant Reynosa. He's handling the Caylin case.
Buster, a cop's a cop no matter what he's handling. Now, shake it up, Red. Turn on that water in the sink and dump it all in.
What the devil are you doing here, Johnny?
Having a drink? What's up, Sergeant?
I'm looking for a girl who's supposed to work here named Marty Midnight.
So am I. What's your reason?
Suspicion of murder.
What?
The guy was killed in her apartment about an hour ago. The neighbors heard the shots. And it's real crazy, Johnny. It just can't be, but it is. We got a fast check on the fingerprints. You know who the guy was?
Sure. It was Eddie Caylin.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, a stakeout, a manhunt, and a tired intern breaking his heart to keep life in a broken body. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
From January 4th, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar on Classic Radio Theater. Please thank this radio station, support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be here on your favorite station. You can also visit my webpage, classicradio.stream, so if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a show. And please tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater right here on your favorite radio station.